Hi guys, welcome back to the Funky Evolution Party. I'm Alice Green. So it's been a very interesting few days. I'm a gardener, so I like to dig and just chatting with my friends and finding out different information and then digging for it. And what I uncovered was a massive, so, you know, I'll give you a bit of a background story because this entire Funky Evolution Party started back in 2020. It was the 12th of January where I had a massive anxiety attack. I went to the church. I was like, something huge is going to happen. And he brushed me away. I then proceeded to collect lots of food, water, and then the pandemic came. And then things started to unravel themselves from there. And what God's actual plan is not to go in and kill a load of people, displace them, and create a really messed up society. It was that love, i.e., your heart frequency is 60% stronger than the mind control fear that they've been putting into you, i.e., Islamic extremists want to take over the world. No, they don't. They want you off their land. That is the way it's been for 75 years. The only thing Hezbollah, Hamas, all of them, they just want you guys to stop stealing their oil, stop using theft, and then calling yourselves these democratic human rights organizations when you've literally been stealing their ships full of oil. Syria has to buy oil from other places because the US is stealing their oil. The world is screaming genocide. In the middle of a court case, they go and bomb Yemen. Now, why this is so interesting for me is the day before I was given a bit of a clue that ISIS, being the Israeli secret intelligence service, ISIS. So if you look up ISIS, actually, they never actually have the quite fitting for it. It can be this, it can be that. It is ISIS, Israeli's Secret Intelligence Service. When I went back to 1989 to look for these notes, I found that actually they'd been training all the rebels in Colombia and around that region. So the governments in South America obviously have been struggling for quite some time because who's been training and supplying the weapons? Oh, that's right. It's Israel. And when you look at Israel and the way it was created and why it was created, it's actually very evident that it is the hub for the things that have destroyed society. Drugs. So and drugs is a huge one because I'm a massive advocate for getting people on, making marijuana legal by giving people magic mushroom therapy for depression, helping people get back into society, not with pharmaceuticals, not with what WEF is trying to do, which is completely mess people up with gender, confuse everybody. So they're fighting each other and not looking at what they're doing by poisoning our food supplies, which makes us more mentally messed up. The more chemicals you are consuming, the more the chemistry in your brain is unable to actually, it's just a consistent fog. And this is what they want from you. If you look in Africa, so if they're not getting you on gender and confusing you there, they're throwing a load of drugs in like hush that just wipe out just all the young people. So they're not studying to be doctors. They're not studying to be anything. They're all off their heads on drugs. And that's what the Prime Minister of Ecuador was like, I don't want a cocaine state, which is what was going to happen. And to be fair with you, I believe that that attack in Ecuador happened to take the focus off the ICJ case that was going on. All it did was it reinforced why we need to cease fire now, why we need to dismantle this entire operation, because that list that was released, why have there been no arrests? Why is everybody like, oh, well, that's just normal? It's not normal. Our children going missing, underground tunnels, drugs, harvesting their organs. How is this normal? How can this be normalized? It's impossible. How can you call me evil for wanting a ceasefire to stop a consistent open air concentration camp? Why am I the evil one? And if I am the evil one, let me play devil's advocate here because I call for the arrests of so many people globally. If this is going to actually, if we as a global community are going to feel safe moving forward in the future, then we need to tackle the problem now. And at the minute, Lucky for the ICJ and the International Criminal Court, they're all in Davos right now. They're all together. You could just go in there right now and be like, oh, I don't need to search around the world for you. You're all here proudly displaying your war crimes. It's not going to happen anymore. There's far too many intelligent people in the world. And another one, intelligent people can't even get jobs. They're getting cancelled because it's diversity to hire stupid people who aren't going to question you, who are going to be like, yes, sure, I'll be brainwashed by your bullshit. Not anymore. I'm sorry. But like, again, so going into the drugs, the second I posted that, like within the middle of the night, they went and bombed Yemen. So the biggest port out of Ecuador, you know, the container port. Why are they bombing Yemen? What do they want to get through? What is on those ships that is so important that you won't call a ceasefire, yet you're willing to go in and blow up a third world country that the US has bombed 3 times? For what? They've never attacked your shores. They've never killed any of your people. They've not attempted to do anything. Yet this support has proven that there is something that we need to dig further into, really pull it up and say, this is not going to happen anymore. If you want peace in the Middle East, then you disarm the people that are causing the aggression. So Iran might lose a lot of money because once you dismantle Israel, they're not going to be, the people aren't going to want to buy weapons off them anymore. So I can't understand from a very business perspective. We're not even talking about a moral one. We're not even talking about, you know, like, oh, human rights. We're talking business, which seems to be what everybody's concerned about, making money or doing X, Y, and Z. Well, guess what? Just by being smart, by saying this little country here that has neighbors that they've been attacking and now have just decided after 100 days, so they've given 100 days saying, stop, 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 stop. And it's like being raped, because that's what's happening. Israel is raping Gaza right now. You know, it doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It is like, no, no, no. And you keep going for it until they've nothing left, victims. This is what's going on. And they're doing it to Syria and they're doing it to Lebanon. And they say they're not going to stop. What does that mean? That they're following international law? No, because they're refusing to stop. They are criminals. And the US are criminals. And I'm going to call out the UK because why did you get involved? Why would you put our armed forces in the line of fire of international law? Why would you do that? For your own personal gain? Because guess what? You're not going to gain anything except for a life sentence in a maximum security prison, because we cannot continue on this path. You can't tell me that, you know, you're this oldest parliament in the world, Magna Carta, all that nonsense, and then you don't follow any of it. What sort of example is that, where you've got political leaders who are, oh, the horrible, atrocious attacks that took place? What about the horrible, atrocious acts that are taking place now? I'm not going to say anything about that. You're just going to blindly support and fund a state that you know shouldn't have been there to begin with. So we've got drugs, we've got child trafficking, we've got organ harvesting, and its hub being the Middle East hub, you know, because Europe is not innocent. Genocide to them is normal. So I was born in a colony. I live in the colonizer. And where I'm from is currently being massacred. So I have a very all-round perspective of what's going on. And the only solution to this is to start looking at how we, the people who believe in humanity, you know, oh, and what was the other one? That they were going to create a virus to, you know, try and change the God gene in people. What is happening? What are they putting into us? What are they spraying us with? I need people to seriously wake up. I'm a little bit lucky because I do a lot of meditation. I'm able to set my electromagnetics and do all sorts, but I feel it. You know, my heart chakra is like, since the war started, it's been in like, I feel people's pain. And this is what they don't understand, is that the knock-on effects aren't just there in an isolated part of the world. We are a collective consciousness and we feel each other's pain. So in order to start feeling happy, which is what you all seem to think you can do by chopping and changing and getting sex changes and understand who you are. The God gene is not an external thing. It's an internal thing. It's about appreciating, respecting yourself. How can you respect yourself when you know that your money is being sent to kill loads of children? Come on, like, where are we going as a society? Is it going to be safer to live in a maximum security prison than it is going to be to live on the streets? Because that's the way the world is going, and it's up to us. The astrology now, this Capricorn, Pluto, it's come to an end. All of these rigid structures coming crashing down. We need the people of the world with a strong voice to say, hey, there is a new social architecture here that is looking after our environment, not poisoning people, taking the chemicals out of food, taking the chemicals out of all our products. Like, why are people so messed up mentally? Because of the criminal, the glorification of criminalization globally. That's where we're going wrong. And this is a strong message out to anyone with authority. The time to act is now. We need to call a ceasefire now. The ceasefire will stop everything. It will stop Iran. It will stop Hezbollah. It will stop Hamas. It will stop Yemen. That's 4 countries that will disarm. If you disarm one, that's 5 in total. That's just simple, basic mathematics. Simple, basic, like, it doesn't take rocket scientists to understand this. What we need to do is get our egos out of the way and start looking at, again, you're not going to be around in 100 years' time. Who is, and what sort of world are we leaving them? What legacy are we leaving these future people who don't seem to have any opportunity today? Because unless you're a liar, a thief, a cheat, you won't get anywhere, which is fine, but it can't continue like this. And I need everybody to fight for our humanity, not for the drug dealers, not for the rapists, not for the organ harvesters. Imagine you know that you got your organ from a kid that had been raped 10 times and then eventually killed so you could have its kidneys. You must feel really good about yourselves. Have a deep think about in your life and where all your taxes are going and why they're not funding schools, why they're not funding people. I'm not going to go out and get a job to fund this bullshit. I'd rather look after my kids than send them out to somebody to look after and potentially harm. That is the fact and that is the reality. And that, sadly, as a single mother, a person, God, this is mad, with severe learning disabilities, with impairments, can get a job in aviation, but a single mother with twins cannot. That is crazy. So let's look at how we're going to flip society, start working on deeds, not needs, because needy people are not going to help. They're just sucking us blood dry. So please like, share, and get this message out there.